Welcome to a brand new episode of the Post Game. My name is Davion, and I'm back with Matt.
What up?
And today we are starting a new series on the channel covering free agency. Free agency doesn't start till next week, but to this week, today especially for some reason, there's been a lot of moves going around in the NFL. And today we're gonna break down some of those moves, talk about some of these trade requests that have been sent in, and pretty
hmm
much just go from there. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So, first up, Deebo Samuel has been traded to the Washington Commanders for a fifth round pick. That is 40 or $30 million, $31 million that the 49ers have to take in dead cap space. I think that's, it is what it is at this point. I think he had
Yeah.
a pretty lethargic, up and down season this year. When you look at the 49ers, he dropped a lot of passes, just wasn't great for them. And then, the Commanders will take $17 million, not fully guaranteed. So that's not a terrible contract for a wide receiver. Matt,
Right.
what do you think about this move and how Debo had a season last year?
Yeah, I mean, from a trade standpoint, I think it's fine. Obviously you said Debo's been kind of on the decline. His last 2 or 3 years, I don't think he's truly been who he was maybe since like 2021, around that time. But he's fine.
Yeah.
He's still a good player. I don't know if there were just tensions with the Niners. It just seemed like he didn't want to play. Injuries were a huge factor. Obviously, those are his stats from this year. Not the best, but I think just a fresh start is good for him. And also the Niners, that whole, you know, Super Bowl run is basically over. You know, they're trying to trade, potentially Ayuk. McCaffrey's still hurt. Party they still have to pay.
I
They
saw it
have
open
no,
today at 41 or 45 for him a
yeah.
year.
So I think the Niners are just trying to reset somehow, trying to get as much cap space as possible, trying to stay relevant the best they can. Commanders, though, it's a good piece. I mean, like we saw, Commanders were a game away from the Super Bowl last year. Jaden Daniels had that historic rookie year.
Yeah.
Um, Terry McLaurin and Debo Samuel, I think, is a really good combo. Debo, you know, maybe play him like they did at the Niners, just kind of play him all over the place, all over the
Yeah.
field. I think that can be very interesting. Um, the cap space isn't that concerning for them either because I think they're at around 100 million going into the year. So I think it's going to be good. I don't think he'll be like lights out electric
Yeah.
this year, but be he should show improvement with the whole new, face and team. So it'll be exciting for the Commanders.
Completely agree. I think the Commanders got a good deal here, and I think the Niners they need to get from under them. I think like you said, they're going to lose a lot because a lot of people need to be paid. They have a
Yeah.
lot of superstars in this team, and some of these guys are just going to have to be moved. And so whatever that looks, this is one of the options here is moving Debo, and they did. And so it is what it is. I think next season Debo will hopefully have a bounce back year. I think he will. Some people don't think he's great. Granted, I think what he put on the paper last year was not great. Was not
No,
great.
no.
So he's going to definitely have to go reconvene himself and find himself again next season. But moving on, Max Crosby has signed a 3-year, $106 million extension, $91 million guaranteed. I think to me, this contract, this had to happen.
Yeah.
I think you look at that conference or not conference, that division. You have the Chiefs, the Broncos,
And the Chargers.
and the Chargers. You have to have a pass rush against those three teams. And I think this shorted up. I think they are trying to build for the future. I think Pete Carroll is going to come in there and just bring stability for the next couple of years while he's there. And then they're going to go find a head coach that they really want to open that team up, if that makes sense. But Matt, what do you think about this deal?
Yeah. Excuse me. Um, I think it was good for the Raiders. They're still not the best team. They still have that sixth pick overall. Give me one sec.
Very good.
Excuse me. Um, yeah, I mean, they're still not going to be the best. You got Tom Brady coming in as a partial owner, so there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to the front office potentially. Max Crosby, one of the best pass rushers in the league, probably top five, top three, you can even say. Um, Incredible athlete. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing for them to keep him on the books. But yeah, this team still needs a lot. There is
Yeah.
a lot of pieces that need to go down for them to be competitive in this division. Not even trying to make the playoffs, just to be competitive in the division. You know, earlier today, I think Gardner Minshew got cut. I'm not
Yep.
really surprised about that. They might go out and draft a quarterback. They
I
might.
was gonna say, what do you think they do with that sixth pick now?
I think they should draft. I think it'll. If Shador is there, I think they should take the risk.
I agree.
If
I
not,
don't think
just
it'd be
best
there.
available. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't really know like what else they could do with it because there's a lot of problems with that team. So, free agency, we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
They still have I think, a decent amount of cap space, so it'll be fun. Yeah,
Yeah. So, a big one that came out today, DK Metcalf has requested a trade away from the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks have made a couple other moves today, releasing Tyler Lockett, saving them some cap space.
Mhm.
And this has been a now empty quarterback room or receiver room for the Seattle Seahawks. But thinking about this DK Metcalf situation, we were texting about it in the group chat today, and one of the main scenarios that popped into my mind was DK Metcalf. He gets traded to the Patriots. Patriots take that fifth overall or fourth overall pick and go get
Number
Travis.
three.
Huh? They're three?
They're three, or excuse me, four. Yeah,
No, I think they're
sorry, New
four.
York's at three. Whoops.
Yeah, and they go get Travis Hunter. And I think, listen, the thing is that, the Patriots either want a receiver or Travis Hunter. And I think them being able to go pay one because this receiving class is very heavy, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Mhm.
But they're now going to be able to go get a receiver who's a free agent or in a trade, and then they're going to be able to just straight up, get Travis Hunter. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to help that team out a lot, and I think it's going to, give some help for both sides of the ball. But where do you think DK goes?
Yeah, it's tough. He did come out. There were reports he wants to play for a contender.
Mm.
Um, if that's the case, Chargers have been actually pretty. They were quietly trying to get him last year. I could see that picking up again this
Yeah,
offseason. I could see the Bills even potentially trying to do something. Kansas City is always there. You know, Obviously Kansas City is pretty young with Worthy, and then they'll get Rashid Rice back. But again, there's nothing wrong with more firepower on that offense. Um, Bills could be interesting because, they locked up Shakir.
Shakir. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be, I don't know. Realistically, I think he'll probably go. I honestly think the Chargers are going to push really hard for him. Um, Maybe a second or third round pick they'll get. Seattle will get
yeah,
for him. Um, I believe he still has 2 years left on his contract, so he's looking for an extension also. So there's a lot of things that can happen. We also have, Saints and Carolina. I don't think they would do it.
we don't got no money,
Um,
so no.
Saints, yeah, just don't have money. Carolina would be interesting, but we got to think about it. Their receiving core is really young. They
Yeah,
have two rookie receivers. Thielen's still there, so I don't think they're gonna try to go for that superstar receiver. Maybe they will if for the right price, but um, dream scenario, yeah, New England, like you said, would be really, really cool.
yeah,
They've been pushing really hard for that wide receiver one for Drake May. Um, yeah, if they somehow pulled off that and Travis Hunter, that's pretty crazy.
oh yeah,
So um, yeah, I'll stick with the Chargers. I think they're gonna be the team that pulls this out and makes the trade.
yeah. I like New England for my pick there.
Okay.
But regardless, so I'll let you go with this one, Matt.
Yeah. Um, so the Bears these last couple of days have made a couple big trades. So they go out and get Joe Tooney from the Kansas City Chiefs guard for a 2026 fifth round pick. And then they also go and trade for Jonah Jackson, who's another guard, for a sixth round pick. Um, Honestly, this is what the Bears needed. They've had probably one of the worst O lines in the last couple of years. You had a rookie QB in Caleb Williams who's shown great flashes. He's been great, last year for how bad the Bears offense was. Um, Give him protection. That's what they need. That's what they needed on offense. They have the weapons, they have the star power. That was just the main issue. It's surprising that the Chiefs gave him up for so little,
Yeah.
but it sounded like the Chiefs kind of wanted to just try to keep going young, stay in that direction. I believe he's like 32 now, and
Mm.
they don't really want to extend him, so there's just no point. Um, Jackson, yeah, they just not really quite sure. They were just kind of wanting to get rid of him too. And Ben Johnson, beginning his rookie year as a head coach, starting off pretty strong for them in the offseason. So I think this is a big time move for him. But just like the Bears always do, they'll somehow find a way to mess it up. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, they should be drastically better when it comes to offensively. So
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think like I think about it from the Chiefs' perspective, like they're gonna have to start paying more people as well because again they are young, and so just wasting money on a 32-year-old Joe Thuney is not good enough for them. And I think just getting any kind of compensation works for them. Just you can go find an offensive lineman in the sixth round. He may not be great, but he's gonna be relevant. If that makes sense.
right.
And then looking at that offensive line, Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback last season. I think he was 45 sacks
No, it
or
was like
85 sacks.
60. It was like
Oh, okay.
60 or 70. It was really high.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, one of
Um,
those crazy numbers when it comes to sacks. And so I think them going out beefing up their offensive line is definitely going to be helpful for them. But yeah, I like this from both of these two for both of us. Excuse me. I like these two for this team, and I think it could be very helpful for them as well.
I mean, I was one more thing
But
on
yeah,
that. Just like, I mean, Ben Johnson explained it really well at the combine. Like what the Panthers did. They went out and signed. They didn't trade for him, but they
yeah,
went out and signed two big guards, and they went from Bryce Young getting sacked 70 times to actually showing progress and progression.
yep.
And he actually looks like a legit starter in this league. So I think this is going to be great for the Bears. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the Bears have a high expectation because they have a new head coach.
Right.
Their second year quarterback is supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks to come out of the draft in 10 years, whatever. And they put a lot of money into this team, and they will by the end of or start of the season, they will have put a lot of money into this team. So they are going to have to start showing up and showing out right now.
Right.
But looking ahead, Devontae Adams, he is now released by the Jets, saving the Jets $30 million dollars. Does he want to play with Rodgers again?
There's talks he still wants to. Who knows if that's real or not?
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that's just so odd. I mean, I don't know why you keep trying to chase and go. Obviously, he's your buddy, whatever, but it's like it didn't work out
He's not
with
great.
the Jets. He Rodgers is on a downhill. I don't think he's got a lot of good years. I don't think he's really,
I don't think he has any good years left.
yeah. And Devontae, I believe, is like 32, 31. He's a little older for an NFL player, but he's still elite, I
Yeah,
think. Just in a really bad situation. So, you know, it will be fascinating to see where he goes. It's probably going to take a while for him to get signed,
yeah.
because he's just such a high name, and he's just kind of weighing options, seeing who gives him the best offer. Um, yeah, these teams like we mentioned, Max Crosby wants him to come back to Vegas. I don't know if they'll do that
Yeah.
again. Carolina's another option. I doubt they'll do that though again too, because there's no point of having two veteran receivers on that team. But who knows? Saints, like you said,
Oh my,
um, might. I don't know. New England, they're still pushing for that number one receiver. I throw out Pittsburgh too. I think that's an
I like it.
interesting one
I like
because
it a lot.
Pickens still developing. We don't
Yeah.
really know if he's a true wide receiver one or not.
He's a number
Um,
two, in my opinion.
okay. And, they've been very stagnant when it comes to offensive play these last couple years, just
Yeah.
kind of mediocre, maybe good at best. And maybe, finding that extra receiver could help push them over that hump to not be a 500 team and maybe, win a playoff game soon here. But yeah, I think it will be interesting because there's a lot of teams that need receivers the more I think about it. And um, especially with this wide receiver market, we'll talk about that later. It's going to be crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think there's four teams that just popped into my head. Like you said, the Steelers is a good one for him or DK, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think New England for sure wants that number one receiver. They can go get him or DK or whoever. I think Vegas as well. The Raiders, they need one. Arizona doesn't have or they have a
I
number
have
one,
Marvin Harrison, but
but getting him some more help would be great
yeah.
for them as well. And I think we can see, a team, I don't know, a team, different other teams go out and get that. So I think there's a like we said, we're about to talk about the wide receiver room this season going into the off or in the off season now is going to be one of the biggest wide receiver moves all for a long time. So
Yeah. Mhm.
um looking at it, talking about it right now, jumping right into the wide receivers. But first off, let's talk about some other news that went out. Like we said, Tyler Lockett was released today. Um, Christian Kirk was released by the Jags. Those are two really, really good receivers.
That one was
Uh,
an interesting one. Christian
Yeah,
Kirk was interesting because he was just
yeah,
hurt last year.
yeah,
But I mean, they got Brian Thomas, who's been a stud for
yeah.
Jacksonville. So I see why they did it. And they saved, I think, about, I don't know how much cap space, but it was a good amount. So,
At least 25.
yeah, for sure. And then Zach Bond coming off that elite all pro year, went from signing a 1 year to being the fourth highest paid linebacker in the league. 3 years, 51 million. Congrats to him.
Yep,
You can also throw in Saquon being one of the highest paid running backs now in the league because of
yep.
that. Um, Philly's making the right moves, and they're moving people around. It'll be interesting
They're going to
if they
spend a
can.
lot of money early, and then they're going to be
Yep,
struggling later.
yep.
They
So
better not do it. That's what New Orleans did. And now look at us.
we'll see how long this run can go for Philly. So it'll be interesting.
They got at least 1 year. They got 1 or 2 more years left.
I
But
think so.
we'll see. So let's talk about these wide receivers right now that are free agents. I'm not
Hmm.
going to name all of them on this list, but I'm going to go hit a couple of them. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. Will Diggs re-sign for Houston? If I'm Houston, I don't re-sign him, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I just think dare I say, he's toxic to the environment. Let's be real. Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, who I think will probably re-sign to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he loves
that's
him.
a bold one. Yeah,
I think that's where he goes, but he's a very, very good receiver as well.
very
Amari
underrated.
Cooper, he's been lost since leaving Dallas. What's going to
Yeah,
happen there? Brandon Cooks still a speed demon. Marquez Brown or Marquise Brown, Darius Slayton. I like these are some really, really good receivers. Mike Williams down there, Robert Woods, who's a vet. DJ Chark, good. MVS, who I think the Saints might actually end up re-signing because he was very, very good for us. Uh,
hmm
like I don't see why not. He's not going to demand that much money. So, go give him whatever he needs and go sign up to a 2 or 3 year deal, and I'll be more than happy with that. But out of all those guys, like, what do you think? Who do you think? Um, any predictions about where any of these guys will land?
yeah. Bold one here. I don't think Chris Godwin will resign. That's my
Really?
only like big one. Yeah. So let's see. He's 28 years old, coming off that gruesome injury last year.
Yeah.
I believe it was his Achilles.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, he like popped it
Oh, yeah.
towards one of the last plays of the game against
Oh,
the
he's out.
Ravens.
He's sitting out that season, man.
He'll be back because it was like halfway through the season, so he should be back. Probably he'll miss like 1 or 2 weeks, but I don't know. Um, yeah, maybe he goes back to um Tampa Bay, but it's like at that point it's just kind of a money issue.
Well, I think that's the
Um,
only team that's going to give him any money with that Achilles injury.
right, but I think you need to realize that like obviously the Achilles injury is bad and he is a receiver. That's true. Okay. So like
Let's convince you
maybe
there.
maybe maybe if he wants, something new, maybe
Yeah,
some team throws something out there and maybe it's a dime in the rough where that Achilles is just perfectly fine and he just ends up playing just playing lights out.
yeah.
Like we talked about Devontae Adams, he's definitely the best one on this list.
Hmm.
Diggs is also interesting. He did tear his ACL though, so that's a pretty big blow. Um, I don't know how he'll be. Keenan Allen's fine. He's just kind of on a downcline. the Bears offense was a little, he was the wide receiver too, where I think he's not used to being, and his stats
Yeah,
just were on a decline. Not saying he's bad or anything, but um, yeah, it's just kind of a weird time for him. A lot of these, receivers are pretty old.
yeah.
So that'll be interesting if it's just like 1 or 2 years they sign.
Hmm.
Um, One I like a sleeper is like De'Ami Brown. I think he could be like pretty good
Where is he
for
at?
like he was in Washington. Um,
Oh, yes, yes, I got you.
so he
Young guy.
could be,
Yeah.
yeah, he was like a wide receiver two, wide receiver three. He was solid
Hmm.
for him. He was pretty good. He's 24, so pretty young. I think, I could see like Carolina going after him, someone like that, just like another speed guy, just trying to stay young.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson makes me laugh on that list. I don't know if that'll happen ever
Literally
again.
agree with that statement.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of receivers here, so it'll be interesting how many of these guys get signed.
Yeah.
If they stay on their current teams, if they decide to leave, who knows? But yeah, it's a lot.
So looking at some of these free agents over here, you got Sam Darnold, you got Byron Murphy, who is still a very, very good corner. Where do you think some of these guys will go? I mean, the Sam Darnold one is an interesting one. Do they give him a 2-year, 3-year deal? Give him
Right.
45, $50 million a year?
Yeah, so they didn't give him the franchise tag.
I know.
Um, and this is actually crazy. This is the lowest amount of franchise tags that were given out in
I
the
know. I
history of
always
the
saw what,
NFL.
two given out? Three, maybe?
Two total. It was Trey Smith for the Chiefs and then T. Higgins,
Oh, T. Higgins.
which might be I'm gonna predict it. I think it's a sign and trade. I think they trade him.
Really? I
Yeah,
think that'd be smart. I think they're gonna have. I think they're gonna have.
because that's a weird scenario because apparently they're not close with a Jamar Chase extension, and then they gave T. Higgins the franchise tag twice already. There something's up there because it's like why would you not sign your best player, right?
Whoever that GM is, like he's having a terrible time.
And it's like, of course, like it's a whole team effort, but it's
Yeah.
like if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are the reason why you guys are relevant,
Bro, your receiver is literally
keep
a
that.
triple crown winner. Like what?
Yeah,
What are we doing?
elite, best receiver in the league last year.
Yes, without a
Um,
doubt. And their offense was the best offense in the league.
and they were
Yeah,
somehow 8-8,
yeah, there it is.
eight
There,
and
there
nine.
it is.
Excuse me.
That defense was
That
historically
boggles me. Okay,
horrible.
sorry, but back to Darnold. So Darnold is an interesting one because it sounds like Minnesota wants to re-sign him.
Yeah,
They did get JJ McCarthy. He had that surgery during the offseason, so he didn't play. Do they just keep him for another year, or do they just decide to trade him for whatever?
yeah.
Um, Kind of like how New England might do something with Joe Milton, but we'll
Mhm.
see. Um, I think I don't know where he would go. He's not going back. He's not going to the Giants. He wouldn't go back to the Jets. He
Raiders.
w Raiders is like the most realistic that could
If
happen.
they don't get Shador or Cam Ward, like do they go pull
Or
the trigger on Jackson
But Cam
Dart?
Ward's not going to be there. Shador will probably be
Obviously
there
not.
though.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know what other QBs they can go after that
Uh,
are that good.
yeah. Kirk Cousins. Uh-oh.
No, you're good.
No, that's what I'm saying. Kirk Cousins. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, maybe that's not a bad one. It's just who wants to pay him that money?
yeah, yeah,
So most likely, I think the Raiders is the most realistic, but I think the Vikings will try to sign him back to like a 2 or 3 year. Um,
yeah.
but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, it depends on who wants to pay the man. Like these quarterbacks are about to start demanding a lot of money. Running backs are about to start demanding a lot of money. Like teams are about to be getting fleeced. Like they're gonna have to really start using the draft. Look at the Saints back in the day. Look at the Eagles. Look at the Chiefs. Like really using the draft and being effective using the draft is what they're gonna have to start doing. And I mean, if not, then. That's all she wrote. You're gonna be the Giants forever.
Right.
Anyway, any
And I mean,
final
like,
thoughts you got?
yeah, I will say that we didn't really talk about a lot of the free agents because obviously there's a ton of stuff that's going to happen throughout these next couple months. But this is a very defensive heavy free agency
Yes.
and a lot of youth that people don't realize.
Oh
So
yeah.
like we have on here, Milton Williams. He
Yeah.
was a D tackle for the Eagles. His stats don't blow you out the water,
Mhm.
but he was he's a pass rusher at heart as a D tackle. He had 5 sacks in 4 years. He was behind Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, so it was a little harder for him. But he made that heroic play in the Super Bowl, getting that strip sack against Mahomes.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat's another one. Um, I think he's like 27, 28.
Hmm.
He could be gone. That's another big time piece that someone could add to their team. Um, Dre Greenlaw was another one I like to mention because he, ever since, obviously he injured himself in the Super Bowl, but like Achilles injuries are pretty tough, especially for linebackers. So,
It's been a
um,
year now though, and he's gonna have a whole
right,
off season. Like
right,
next to come back as the Dre Greenlaw we know. So
right. Um, I think, I think he can be a top linebacker in this league for sure, and especially being behind Fred Warner all those years, he was elite
yeah, he
just
was.
with him alone. So. I'm interested to see where he goes. And then, the corner market's pretty crazy. You have, DJ Reed, Byron Murphy, Darius Slay just got cut, but who knows what they'll do about that. Um, Carlton Davis was another one I was thinking of. I'm trying to name other people. Khalil Mack. These are just defensive players in general. There's a lot. So, um, Javon Holland is another one I'm hoping Carolina goes after. That's kind of like my number one guy.
Mhm.
Um, That would be awesome to see. But um, this is going to be a fun free agency. I think the NFL saw the Luka trade and they're like, you know what, we need to blow them away
Yeah, we
somehow.
need
We
we need some
we
conversation
we,
with our
we need
talent.
some conversation, especially with the trade market too.
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy too these next couple months. So I'm excited. So these next couple weeks, get ready, get ready.
Yeah, we'll be bringing these free agent videos every Thursday, 10 o'clock EST, AM, so just look out for them. Look out for them, and we're excited to get going. But Matt, appreciate you for joining. I'm ready to see what my Saints do with our negative 45 or $65 million in cap space. So, come pass me a beer and we'll be happy about it. But appreciate y'all for watching. If you made it this far, leave a like, leave a comment. And everybody else, take it easy. Peace.
Peace.